Alright, what's going on everyone? In this video we're going to take a look at the Flash of Ferocity Challenger deck and see if it's still playable after the Zendikar Rising standard rotation. And the answer is no. No, nope, no way. Unfortunately it is not happening. The deck's dead. There is still a playable Flash deck, it's just not Simic. Green, blue, Flash is dead, but if you like the playstyle, the good news is there is a similar deck that's playable in the new rotation. So here's the Flash of Ferocity deck that came straight out of the box, and if we highlight what we lost, it's a whole lot. It's a lot of cards. That's a lot of cards. Holy crap, that's too many cards. And here is the upgraded deck if you followed my guide. And if we highlight what we lost, once again, it's not good. And here's a competitive list I found online. There were a lot of variations of this deck. There were lots of different versions of it. But regardless, if we highlight the cards we lost, once again, not good. And we didn't just lose a lot of cards, we lost a lot of key pieces. Notably Brineborn Cutthroat, Nightpack Ambusher, and Frilled Mystic. These were kind of the pillars of the deck. I mean, Nightpack Ambusher was incredibly important and usually the reason why the deck won. And Frilled Mystic being a counterspell and a threat at the same time, really good. Brineborn Cutthroat, for some reason people didn't play this all the time. I personally loved it. I was a big fan of the Cutthroat, and it's gone as well. So that kind of sucks. And then we lose some minor stuff too, like Quench, Sinister Sabotage, Spectral Sailor, and some decks were even running Paradise Druid. I wasn't personally, but that's also gone. So yes, rest in peace Simic Flash. It was fun, but it's dead. Fortunately, if you do still want to play this style of deck, we still have a lot of support for Flash decks, the biggest being Slitherwisp. It says whenever we play something with Flash, we get to draw a card and the opponent loses 1 life. So this isn't as splashy as the Ambusher, right? It's not like this crazy thing that's going to come into play, win the game within a couple turns, which is what the Ambusher did, but we do have this sort of grindy value engine. So in my opinion, if you're going to play Dimir Flash, I personally think you need to focus more on playing control. The idea is that you control the board while gaining card advantage from Slitherwisp. It's still a Flash deck. The idea is still similar, right? You hold up your mana with counter spells in hand, and if your opponent doesn't play anything worth countering, then you play a creature at end step to attack. So I think that's still a viable strategy, and Slitherwisp is going to be the main threat in that deck. So in addition to Slitherwisp, we get things like Cunning Nightbonder, Brazen Borrower, Sea Dasher Octopus. The Nightbonder makes our stuff difficult to counter and makes our stuff cheaper. Brazen Borrower was in Simic Flash, so you're probably familiar with that. And the Octopus can help us draw, so we have multiple ways to draw cards, which is very useful in a, kind of a control deck, because that's what this has to be. And then there are a ton of other creatures with Flash in Standard, things like Black Lance Paragon, Liliana Standard Bearer, Pouncing Shore Shark, not to mention the rogues like Thieves Guild Enforcer and Soaring Thought Thief. So yeah, there's a lot. There's even stuff at the top end like Dirge Bat and Thrix as giant evasive finishers. So there are a ton of creatures with Flash, and all of them will trigger Slitherwisp. So that's all pretty decent. We also get some good counterspells still. We have Voracious Grey Shark, another creature, another threat, and another counterspell. We have Rewind, we have Sublime Epiphany, not to mention plenty of other cheaper counterspells. We don't just have these crazy big expensive counterspells. There's also Ashiok's Erasure, which is really cool because it's a counterspell, but it's an enchantment with Flash, so it will actually trigger Slitherwisp. Slitherwisp says whenever we play something with Flash, not at instant speed. It's not Brineborn Cutthroat, it cares about playing stuff with Flash, so it'll actually trigger on our own turn if we have to play stuff on our own turn, and Ashiok's Erasure will actually trigger Slitherwisp. So that's pretty cool. So you can see, I do think Flash is still possible. I do think it's still playable. I do think you can still play Flash, you just can't play Simic Flash with Nightpack Ambusher. So here's a rough draft of sorts I threw together. I don't recommend copy pasting this because I kind of just cobbled this together really quick. It just gives you an idea of what a Dimir Flash deck can look like. I recommend just Googling them because there are a ton of these decks around. Lots of people have built them in different ways, so you can kind of look at the list and stuff. But the important thing to remember is you aren't going to jam Nightpack Ambusher and just win, right? That's how Simic Flash won. You would jam an Ambusher and then take over the game, usually win in a couple turns. That's not going to happen. That's not an option anymore. This is going to be much more grindier. It's going to take more time. It's going to take more effort to actually win. You're going to have to spend more time just killing stuff and whatnot. It's much more of a control build build, it still can be a little bit tempo-y. I mean, we still have Voracious Great Shark, stuff like that, so it can still feel like a tempo deck, but it is a little bit more controlling, and you do have to spend a little bit more time countering spells and just eking out value, as opposed to just smashing face with a Nightpack Ambusher. So there you go, guys. I know it's sad. I was a huge fan of Simic Flash, but we just lost too many key pieces. But I personally already had a lot of the pieces to the Dimir version on Arena, so I actually threw it together, and it's actually still pretty fun. It's definitely different, but I've been playing it in the new standard, and yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Maybe I'll do a gameplay video with it in the future. If that's something you're interested in, let me know. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. My condolences for your loss, and I will see you in the next one.